probably basic in the sense, basic knowledge, but learn the exercises, different variations of doing exercises. Probably learn with what equipment you're using, you know what I mean, what sort of equipment you're using. I don't know, some gyms have got different equipment and things like that, so either what type of equipment you're using. So learn correct form, huge problem, biggest probably mistake most people, correct form, okay. Again, you might need some help there. A mirror is always a good handy if you want to look in the mirror and that and check your form, but make sure you don't minimise momentum and maximise tension. Learn to handle muscular pain about the stress. Does anybody sort of know what I mean by that? Learn to handle the muscular pain. I'm going to sort of about the stress. Yeah. Has anybody heard of the fight or flight syndrome? Fight or flight? Get out of here! You know, jump up! Or you're scared, or someone's shut. You know. That's the same process your body's going through when you're actually exercising. Exercise is just a stress-related physiology part on your body. Okay, basically what your body just feels it's under attack, and it doesn't know quite what to do. So a lot of people in certain circumstances under that fight or flight will run. Other people will stay there and hold the ground. You know what I mean? In a sense, this is what you're doing, the same sort of thing. If you know what I mean. You know after a little while that, okay, I can handle this, I can keep going, I'm not going to have to drop the weight, I'm not going to have, because your body will go into a bit of a shake there for a little while. Once you start getting right into it, you know what I mean? And that's to say it's a learned process. Don't fear it, just sort of let it happen, let the process happen. But you'll feel once you start getting into it a little bit, and it's a bit of an adrenaline rush too, actually. You know, I don't know if anyone sort of endorphins and that type of thing that happen, but that sort of takes place a little bit. Adrenaline starts firing up and that. So controlling the stress response and concentrate at the event threshold. What do I mean by concentrate at the event threshold? Basically, when that last couple of reps come about, focus, concentrate. Don't let it drop away from there, okay? That's where the results will come. Now, I was just going to sort of go through some advanced overload training techniques. So I learned to do the exercise. I've done the one set and that, and I want to sort of, take it to another level. We use the terms advanced overload training techniques. Force negatives. Has anybody ever heard the term force negative? I'm just sort of getting there a little bit, okay? Okay, so when basically someone might put a little bit extra resistance on the bar and that and you lower it and against a bit of resistance. Okay, force negatives a little bit, and some of these overload techniques a little bit limiting a little bit because you need either someone to do them with, you know what I mean, or you need a partner. Sometimes a little bit hard to do them by yourself. But just generally speaking, assisted positives, your partner. Remember I said you might get that last couple of reps and you go, oh shit, you know, I can't. They might just give you a little bit of assistance at that point to raise the weight. Okay, so these are some of the terms. Breakdowns. Again, come to momentary muscular failure. I do these ones on machines if I'm going to do them because you can change the weight really quickly. You've got to reduce the weight and then just do them again, you know what I mean? A little similar to maybe what some people call drop sets or something. It is a little different, but it's a variation of that one. But if you're doing it with plates and stuff, you've got to sort of get them off and things like that, you know what I mean? So, but still do them, and I find them quite good for lat pull downs are a really good one, seated rows type thing. The pre and post exhaust or that, does anybody know pre-exhaust and post-exhaust method? It's a little similar, not quite the same. I'll give you an example. I'll just see if anyone's ever used them, pre and post-exhaust. Say, for example, I'm going to want to target the lat, say, for example. I do a single joint exercise, like a lat straight arm pull down. I pull it down, so that sort of, but my arms are resting, and then I do a lat pull down itself. So that's sort of pre-exhausting the lats by doing a single one, then using this all the other muscles to do a little bit further. And basically the post-exhaustion is the opposite way around, if you know what I mean. Yes, so you'll do the pull down and then do the straight arm. So a few of those methods that are quite good, and again, once you start playing around with some of these methods and stuff and that, you know what I mean, you really get into sort of trial and error a bit, and you get sort of a bit hyped up after a while and see which ones you can do. multiple sets, 10-8-6, and there was, so the 10-8-6 method, the big difference there that most people do, when you're doing the 10-8-6 is you might do, you trying for 10 reps, but then you actually increase the weight, and you should only get 8. Then you'll increase the weight again by about 10%, for example, and then you might just get down to 6. So you're actually decreasing the reps, but increasing the weight, where most people do it the opposite way around. They decrease the weight and increase the reps. If you really want a good hard workout when you get into it, that's a good one to do as well. Just sort of getting along. Yeah, sorry. Oh, 1.5, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Okay, I'll go back to that. When you're doing, say for example, I'm doing the curls and I do a full range, come to halfway and down or something. It's a little similar to the 21s and that, you know what I mean, like the matrix system method. But you do them at the last couple of reps when you're really tired, you know what I mean, or really momentary muscular failure is happening. Yeah, just do your set for like your 8 or 10 reps first, and if you do them right, then just that last 2, you'll do 1.5 then, or the 1.5 movement. Yeah, they're good ones, especially on some bicep curls and a few other exercises. HIIT is quoted from Drew, is HIIT dangerous? No, not really. It's not dangerous if you do it correctly. It's probably one of the key things. Any exercise program's dangerous if you don't do it correctly anyway. So, force is the product of mass and acceleration. Is training to failure dangerous? No, because really at that point you can't do any more damage because you've decreased your strength. You've actually, as long as you're not using momentum, you've reduced all the force factors. So you still can do it. You've just decreased your strength down, as long as you keep everything consistent. Focus on your muscles, not the numbers. Remember I said so, even though we might be aiming for a number of reps, like I'm going to aim for 10, my focus is on the muscles, okay? So my focus is on the muscles. After a while, it'll come. It will come, you know what I mean? The reps and that'll come after a while. Is it only for beginners? No, ensure a break-in period for all trainees. Now, quite often in most gyms, and this is where you've got to be very careful, trainers and stuff, they'll take you in and they'll flog you to death the first training session and you can't walk. No. High intensity to do it properly requires a break-in period. Does anybody know what I mean by a break-in period? Well, look, it doesn't quite have to be that long, but usually 2 or 3 weeks of just easy stuff, if you know what I mean. So you won't quite go to that muscular failure. There were some variations of doing it, but generally speaking, and different body types will require, if you're a bit more sort of thinner, you know, you might need a longer period. You might need a period where you actually, for the thinner guy, where you actually start putting weight on. So you might keep it at low intensity a bit till you actually start putting some size on. Then you might move to the next stage in the real high intensity. If you're a little bit more overweight or something, etc., you might do higher reps, do a bit more reps, you know what I mean, and keep it low. So instead of doing 10, you might do 20. So there's a little bit of variation just on your size. So must. If anyone goes in to flog you to death, you guys, especially young guys, don't do it. There's some really bad instances of people being really sore rhabdomyolysis, and I think Drew's got a good article on his website about that one. That's really when you really got some, you know, you end up in hospital. People end up with morphine and all that sort of stuff. Now, I thought we've been young guys and stuff. Has anybody heard of the term muscle dysmorphia? You have you? Some of you have. Where'd you? Sorry, I'm just going to, because I just didn't think. Being in the industry, and as I said, like, you know, teaching people, this is one of the worst issues and what I think we deal with. You get caught up in the obsession, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. Training or exercise does not have to be an obsession. Okay, you can get good results. Remember the confidence in your program. Okay, you get caught up into this, and this is a mental disorder, and it's a recognised one. So I really sort of preaching this part to you guys, because I'm sort of now looking at young fellas and thinking it's so easy to get caught in the trap. You go to the gyms and stuff and you see all the people prancing around and all this sort of thing and check the girls out. But other than that, you see a lot of things there, the bad things. And I'm talking about experience here, not happened to me, but I'm talking about experience of seeing it happen to young guys. I had one young guy in my class a couple of years ago, told him not to do it, so I warned him. They said he was going to get on the steroids and that, I said, don't do it. Anyway, in 6 months, 11 kilos of weight he'd put on, but it was all fat. And I know Mark said about measurements. I do skin fold measurements and that, and we've done them all. He just bloated up. Thank God he got off the drugs and stuff, the steroids. He looks quite good now, But don't go down that path and don't get caught up into this muscle dysmorphia. And that's what I said. I've had many young guys get caught out with that. Fitness centres. Okay, talking about dating and that. What's the other good thing about going to the gym? What else can you do? Hey? Talk to who? Social side of things there with the girls and that, all right? So, look, the gym's a good atmosphere, as I said, most of them that, but, us guys, high intensity, we just focus on our training. We don't focus on anything else, Sort of, we just all one way, straight-minded. But if you want to sort of other encouragements to go to the gym, you might sort of think a little bit about the social aspect of it. And yeah, there's that aspect of that as well. So, avoid exercise angst. Does anybody know what I mean by that? Avoid exercise angst? No. Yeah, the negative. Yeah, exactly. I've got to go to the gym and train. Look, if I don't go and train in the gym today and tomorrow, if I don't go to tomorrow, look, I've got to go and do. I get it all the time because I'm in there with young guys. I've just got to go and do me back. Okay, that's fine. That's exercise angst. That's mental thing, not physical physiology. So if you're going to do it, just be a little bit careful you don't get caught up in having exercise. Once you write your program down and write everything down, you just look at it the next time you come, you know what I mean? And you focus on other things in life.